I still remember the exact smell of that cramped brokerage office in 1901. Stale cigar smoke mixed with the metallic tang of ticker tape spitting out endless numbers like a machine gun. I was 24, broke, and arrogant enough to think I could outsmart Wall Street on day one. My first trade? I shorted a railroad stock everyone said was overvalued. 3 days later, it split and doubled. My $500 stake vanished faster than a politician's promise. That loss didn't just empty my pockets. It carved the first rule into my soul. The market is never wrong. Most traders today chase the same ghost I did back then. They scroll through charts on glowing screens, hunting for the perfect setup, convinced their analysis will bend reality. I've watched grown men in $3,000 suits weep over positions they refuse to close, praying for a miracle that never comes. But prayer isn't capital preservation. I've sat in those same leather chairs, heart pounding as my biggest position cracked against me, learning that the difference between fortune and ruin isn't intelligence, it's obedience to the tape. Let me take you back to October 1907. The banks were failing. Panic ripped through lower Manhattan like wildfire, and grown men fought in the streets over nickels. I stood in the exchange gallery watching Union Pacific drop $20 in an hour. Everyone screamed, "Buy the dip." The same chorus you hear today with every crypto crash. But I saw something different. The volume wasn't panic selling. It was distribution. The smart money was quietly exiting while the public rushed in. I sold everything, not because I predicted the bottom, but because the market told me the party was over. 3 days later, the crash hit full force. My capital? Intact. My competitors? Wiped out. That single decision turned survival into my first million. You think trading is about being right? Wrong. It's about positioning yourself where strength already exists and having the discipline to stay until strength leaves. I never bought Bethlehem steel because it was undervalued. I bought it when it broke $98 on volume that drowned out every bear in the pit. The public called it overbought at $138. I called it dinner. By the time it hit $600, those same experts were begging for shares I wouldn't sell. Why? Because the tape never lied to me. It showed money flowing in, institutions accumulating, momentum building like a freight train. My job wasn't to question the train. I just needed to ride it. Position sizing saved my life more times than I can count. In 1914, I planned a massive play on copper stocks. War was brewing in Europe, and demand would explode. But I didn't load the boat at once. Never do. I started with 5,000 shares of Anaconda when it confirmed above $42. As it climbed to $45 with increasing volume, I added another 5,000 by $48. I owned 20,000 shares, my full position, but only because the market paid me to scale in. When the Lusitania sank and copper went vertical, those shares became my war chest. Fools who went all in at the first whisper lost everything when the initial pop retraced. I made a fortune because I let winners pay for their own expansion. The hardest lesson? Learning to do nothing. In 1928, I held Radio Corporation through an 18-month climb while every expert screamed bubble. My phone rang constantly, friends, brokers, even family begging me to take profits. "You're up 400%, Jesse. Be reasonable." But the tape showed accumulation, not distribution. Volume expanded on up days, contracted on pullbacks. The public was finally discovering what institutions knew months earlier. I sat. I waited. I watched my brokerage statement grow fatter than most men's lifetimes. When the first distribution signals finally appeared in September 1929 week rallies on low volume, insiders quietly selling, I exited completely. The crash came weeks later. My profits? Locked in. My discipline? Proven. Losses will come. They must. but I've learned to treat them like tuition at the world's most expensive university. After the 1901 railroad disaster, I kept every ticket, every quote, every mistake in a leather-bound journal. When I violated my own rules in 1917, holding weak positions through obvious distribution, I lost $2 million in a month. That's real money, even then. But I didn't blame manipulation or bad luck. I sat alone in my office for 3 days, reviewing every trade until the pattern emerged. I'd fallen in love with my position. Ego, not evidence, kept me in. That journal became my Bible. Every future trade had to pass its scrutiny. The losses that followed were smaller, cleaner, and always educational. Emotion is the silent killer wearing your own face. I've stood over ticker machines with sweat dripping down my back, knowing the right move but frozen by fear. I've watched perfect setups evaporate because greed whispered, just a little more. The market doesn't care about your feelings. Why should you? I built rituals to separate emotion from execution. No trading after 2 p.m. cocktails. No positions larger than I could sleep with. No second guessing once the tape confirmed direction. When my stop hit, I exited, whether the loss was $10,000 or $1 million. The pain was identical, but the capital preservation was priceless. Today's traders have tools I couldn't dream of: real-time data, global markets, algorithms that execute in milliseconds. Yet they make the same mistakes I did in 1901 because human nature hasn't changed. They chase TikTok tips instead of tape reading. They scale into losers praying for reversion to mean. They cut winners at the first 20% gain, terrified of giving back profits. I've watched cryptocurrency millionaires become paupers overnight because they treated Bitcoin like a religion instead of a trade. The rules haven't changed because price action hasn't changed. Money flows where strength gathers. Follow the flow or drown fighting it. Success isn't a secret setup or a magic indicator. It's a system rigid enough to protect you from yourself, flexible enough to adapt when markets evolve. My system survived bucket shops, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and the dot-com bubble because it was built on observable truth, price, and volume. Everything else, earnings, news, analyst targets, is noise until the tape confirms it. Build your system the same way. Test it through fire. Document every trade. When emotion screams, let your rules whisper the truth. I didn't become Jesse Livermore through genius. I became him through survival, surviving my own stupidity long enough for discipline to replace desperation. Every rule I gave you was paid for in blood, mine and others. The market took my first fortune to teach me humility. It gave me my last to reward obedience. Your choice is simpler than mine ever was. Follow the tape or fight it. One path leads to consistent profits and peaceful sleep. The other leads to the same graveyard where most traders' dreams go to die. The tape is running right now. Somewhere, a stock is breaking out on volume that dwarfs the float. Institutions are accumulating while retail chases yesterday's story. The trend is forming, waiting for someone disciplined enough to ride it. Will you anticipate and get shaken out at the first pullback? Or will you wait for confirmation, scale in as strength proves itself, and sit tight while the market works for you? I've given you the blueprint. The same rules that turned a broke kid from Massachusetts into a Wall Street legend. Not because I'm special, because the market rewards those who listen. Subscribe now, like this video, and comment with the rule that hit you hardest. Your action doesn't just help the algorithm. It proves these lessons still matter in 2025. The tape never stops. Neither should your education. And now, let me take you deeper into the fire, because one story isn't enough to burn these rules into your bones. It was the summer of 1897. I was 19. Working as a board boy in a Boston bucket shop. Chalking prices faster than most men could read them. The gamblers came in droves, factory workers, bankers, even priests betting nickels and dollars on stocks they'd never own. I watched them lose, day after day, not because the market was cruel, but because they treated it like roulette. One man, a tailor named Mr. Goldstein, bet his entire savings, $400 on a sugar stock because his cousin's broker said it was going to the moon. 3 hours later, the stock cracked 12 points. Goldstein didn't scream. He just stared at the board, pale as chalk, then walked out and never came back. I found out later he hanged himself in his shop. That image never left me. Not the suicide, the silence. The moment a man realizes the market doesn't know his name, doesn't care about his dreams, and will take everything if he refuses to listen. That's when I started studying the tape like a monk studies scripture. Not the newspapers, not the tips, the tape. Every tick, every volume spike, every hesitation. I'd stay after closing, replaying the day's action in my head, asking one question. What did the market say, and did I hear it? Most nights, the answer was no. I was too busy being clever. Too busy proving I was smarter than the millionaires in New York. But the tape doesn't grade on effort. It grades on obedience. By 1900, I had $10,000 real money, earned one confirmed trade at a time. I moved to New York, rented a room above a saloon on Broad Street, and walked into the Lion's Den, the New York Stock Exchange. The first week, I lost half my stake. Why? Because I thought bucket shop rules applied in the big league. They don't. In bucket shops, you bet against the house. On the exchange, you bet against Titans men who move markets with a whisper. I shorted you steel on a sure thing tip from a floor trader. 2 days later, JP Morgan himself was buying hand over fist. The stock ran 30 points against me. I covered at the high, sick to my stomach, down $5,000. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, repeating one sentence until it became my religion. The market is never wrong. You are, but loss has a way of sharpening the blade. I went back to the tape. I studied Morgan's buying pattern. I saw how volume preceded price, how weakness in one sector masked strength in another. I learned to read the footprints of big money, not the headlines, not the rumors, but the actual flow of capital. And in 1901, I made my first real score. Northern Pacific Corner. The stock was $120 when I entered. Everyone said it was insane. Shorted, Jesse. It's a bubble. But the tape showed something different. Volume was exploding. Shorts were covering in panic. I didn't just buy, I pyramided. 100 shares at $120.200 more, at $140.500 at $180. By $300, I owned 2,000 shares on margin. When it hit $1,000 in a single day, I sold half. The rest, I held until the corner broke. Profit, $250,000. At 24, I was a millionaire. Not because I was lucky, because I finally listened, but money changes men. I was no exception. By 1906, I was living in a mansion on West 76th Street, throwing parties that made Gatsby look frugal. I had servants, racehorses, a yacht named Remorse, and I started breaking my own rules. I traded drunk. I took tips from society women who heard something at the opera. I doubled down on losers because they couldn't go lower. And in March 1907, the market humbled me again. I was long cotton massive position convinced drought would drive prices to the moon. But the tape showed distribution. Big players selling into strength. I ignored it. Why? Pride. I'd made millions. Who was the market to tell me anything? Cotton collapsed. I lost $3 million in 6 weeks. My yacht? Sold. My mansion? Mortgaged. My wife left with the children. I was 30 years old and back to zero. Most men would have quit. I didn't, because I'd learned something in the wreckage. The market doesn't destroy you. You destroy yourself. I moved into a cheap boarding house, took a job quoting prices again, just to stay close to the tape. I rebuilt my journal. I retested every rule. And in October 1907, when panic hit, I was ready. Not with money, with clarity. I shorted the market with everything I had left. Not because I predicted the crash, because the tape screamed distribution. Banks failing, volume drying up on rallies, insiders selling into every bounce. I covered a bottom. Profit, $4 million. More than I'd ever made. And this time, I didn't celebrate. I just wrote in my journal, obedience paid. Ego cost. Let me tell you about 1915. Sugar. The war in Europe had cut supply lines. Cuba was the only gain in town. I watched American sugar refining for months. It traded between $110 and $120. Choppy, no trend. Most traders gave up. I didn't. I saw the base. Low volume on declines. Higher lows. Accumulation. Then, in June, it broke $125 on volume, triple the average. I entered with 1,000 shares. At $130, I added 2,000. At $135, 5,000 more. By $150, I owned 20,000 shares, my largest position ever. The public screamed overbought. Brokers called me insane. But the tape showed institutional buying, war contracts, government orders. Sugar wasn't a commodity, it was ammunition. When it hit $300, I sold half. The rest? I held until $425. Profit, $6 million. I bought my wife back her dignity. I bought my children a future. But I never forgot. I didn't predict the war. I followed the tape. And then there was 1929, the big one. I'd been watching the market for years. By 1928, everything was wrong. Margin debt at record highs. Shoe shine boys giving stock tips. My driver quoting radio at $500. But the tape? Still strong. Until September. That's why I saw it. Distribution. Rallies on lower volume. Weak hands buying tops. Insiders selling into strength. I started shorting quietly. 10,000 shares here. 20,000 there. By October, I was short 100,000 shares across the board. When Black Tuesday hit, I covered half. The rest, I rode down to the bottom. Profit, $100 million. The largest single trade in history. The press called me a monster. Livermore crashed the market. They screamed. I didn't crash anything. I just listened. The market crashed itself. I was just the messenger. But here's the part they don't tell you. In 1932, I lost it all again. Not to the market, to myself. I broke my rules. I fell in love with being right. I held shorts through the recovery because the depression can't end. I ignored the tape. Volume picking up. New highs in leaders. Smart money buying. I fought the trend. And the trend won. By 1934, I was bankrupt. Again. My wife left for good. My sons wouldn't speak to me. I sat in a hotel room in 1940, staring at the same wall I'd stared at in 1907, and wrote one final entry in my journal. I fought the tape. The tape won. I'm tired. You think this is a success story. It's not. It's a survival story. I made $100 million and died with $5,000 to my name. Why? Because the market doesn't care about your wins. It only cares about your next trade. And if you stop listening, it stops paying. So here's the truth most gurus won't tell you. You don't need to be Jesse Livermore. You need to be better than I was at my worst. You have tools I never had. You have data. You have speed. You have community. But you still have the same enemy, yourself. The same greed. The same fear. The same need to be right. So build your system. Test it. Break it. Rebuild it. Keep a journal like your life depends on it, because it does. When you win, ask why. When you lose, ask harder. Never trade drunk. Never trade angry. Never trade to impress someone. Trade to survive. Trade to compound. Trade to sleep. And when the tape speaks, whether it's a biotech breaking out on FDA news or a meme coin pumping on volume that defies logic, ask yourself one question. Is this strength or noise? If it's strength, follow. If it's noise, walk away. There will always be another train. I gave you my rules. Not because they're perfect, because they're paid for. Every dollar I made, every dollar I lost, every night I couldn't sleep paid in full. Now it's your turn. The market is running. The tape is live. Somewhere right now, a fortune is being made by someone who waited, watched, and struck when the signal was clear. Will it be you? Or will you be the next Mr. Goldstein, silent, broke, and forgotten? The choice is yours. But the tape doesn't wait. Subscribe, like, comment the rule you'll never break. Because every legend starts with one decision: listen or lose.